Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ben and Noah Show. I'm Ben Soffer.
And I'm Lian.
And today we're going to be talking about a media topic that is probably the elephant in the room right now. It was the recent acquisition for Warner Bros. Discovery.
Ooh.
Big news, big news. It's going to be a lot of repercussions,
Yeah,
but be remiss not to talk about it, right?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think I saw a lot of memes of like different artists like saying that they bid like an amount before and then to compete with this, but it was a huge acquisition. I think it was a couple $1 billion.
More than a couple. It was like north of 80 billion.
Sheesh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge thing. I mean, and I know that we are talking. This would probably go in line with like monopolizing things and having these big like corporations have a bunch of assets and stuff like that. But I'm for me at least, I'm like vague on the exact details and the exact like repercussions and stuff. So what do you like give me more information about like what's going on?
Sure. So Warner Bros. Discovery, which currently owns HBO Max and has just a lot of domain IP, whatever you want to call it. They have one of the best content libraries like out there. I mean, they have Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. They have TV shows like Friends. They have Sex and the City. What else? They own HBO, so they have Sopranos, The Wire, all you TV prestige nuts out there.
Ooh.
Um, and in addition, they also own all like Turner Network. So CNN is a big one that's very very profitable. They have a lot. The problem is that as a company, they have been basically in the crapper for the last few years because they've
Really?
had this because they've had this CEO named David Zaslav who it's not common where like a CEO is like usually they're like lightning rods when stock goes down or something. He's been like genuinely really bad. He made the decision to merge Warner Bros. And Discovery together, and I think like 2022, I want to say, and it just has not gone well at all. There's a couple other reasons, like there was debt before, but like
Oh, okay.
it's been exacerbated, and there's just a lot of larger reasons. But and honestly, I can't speak to what he's done as well as maybe some other people can, but a lot of people have attributed like the lack of success to David Zaslav.
Okay, so
So
so so they're not doing so well, and then they still coughed up the funds to like buy yet another
what?
asset, like buy something right now.
Well, Warner Bros. No, they can't buy shit.
They come buy shit. They're
They're
cooked.
they were on sale.
So then they
Yeah.
were bought.
They were bought by Netflix. There was a huge bidding war when basically Warner Bros. Went up for sale, and there were these
And when was
two.
that happening? When did it happen?
This like it started maybe like I want to say like a couple of months ago. But honestly, what was driving the force on this was the people who own Paramount Skydance, the Ellison family. They really wanted to acquire it.
Didn't they
Um,
put more money too, like or something?
Uh, like yes, but with a huge caveat. So without like in like layman's terms, like the deal is basically like if this deal goes through, which there is a chance that it won't, because there is some it still needs to like go through government and all that, and all that weird stuff. But basically, what it means is Netflix would theoretically acquire all Warner Bros. Content in the library, but it would not get Turner, which basically means they get like almost everything but CNN.
Okay.
Um, Paramount really wants CNN.
So you get everything.
They want to be like a like the top notch media um, company of the conglomerate. Um, but if they get CNN, I mean, first of all, it would be horrible just for the media industry, and it already has enough problems. But it's also like CNN's very lucrative for Turner, and so to give that up, I think would be, I mean, kind of ill advised. So that's a big difference. So yes, they did offer more money,
But they asked for more too.
but they asked for more.
And it
So
just looks to me like either way, whether Paramount gets it or Netflix gets it, it's a bad thing.
pretty much. I mean, like it's a conundrum. Look, I mean, I every time I talk about this, like with other people in film, like I feel like people always want like option number three, which is
Yeah.
like Warner Bros. Just like doesn't sell. But
They just eat up the debt.
there's a reason why they're there because they're
Yeah.
in so much debt. Um, and so someone's gotta buy that. Someone with a shit ton of money. So I mean, you kind of gotta weigh the pros and cons here. Like, I've been thinking about this for like a couple of months now, and first of all, I mean, if Paramount were to let's just play it by ear here. So like the two main contenders were Paramount and Netflix. Paramount, they've been struggling. They're not nearly as successful as Warner Bros. Discovery, but they have this new CEO that is like backed up like in government, and like they just did they just acquired Skydance, and it was a big merger. Is the reason why Colbert's off the air. So they're really trying to like capitalize and make other people capitulate, and so it's really rough to see that. And like from a legacy standpoint, like Paramount has like a lot of big content, but like as like a streaming service, like hey Noah, do you have Paramount Plus?
No.
Exactly. So like not many people
I didn't even know that was a Paramount Plus.
part of it is that you've had these streaming companies like Netflix and even like Disney and Amazon who have been able to kind of like get their domain back. They make their own services, but Paramount has gotten screwed by that. The way that they get it back is by acquiring more content. So if Warner Bros goes belly up, that's a way that they can get it back. And the problem is, like, frankly, I would like it if it wasn't for the people in charge. The people in charge, like, they have malintent. Like, we do not want anything to do with that. Now, that's the Paramount example. Like, because what happens then is, like, you have, like, one person having a monopoly on news media, and that is not good. That basically means, like, in a free market, like, one person buys all the media, and then it becomes too controlled. You do not want that, especially with what's going on now. And then there's Netflix. Now, the thing about Netflix is that they are very much, as successful as they are a one-trick pony. They have one thing, which is their streaming service. They started it.
They had games, guys. They had Netflix games for 1 year.
Yeah, so successful. But for the most part, I mean, there's a reason. Like, they basically took like what Blockbuster and Redbox were able to do and basically made it all digital. And when Netflix started to become more of a subscription-based thing where you could just watch anything like on demand, they had so much in stock that they could. And I say stock as in like inventory, like you could basically watch anything to the point where like, is there even a point in like owning cable anymore? So Netflix, they've constantly been trying to grow, but like during like 2019, 2020, when other companies started launching their own services, that actually kind of threatens Netflix a little bit, because what Netflix wants is for everyone to watch on their service because they don't have anything else. So when something like this happens, I mean, I don't really like it. I think it was mainly to piss off like Ellison for one thing, but also to get more content. Like, imagine Lord of the Rings on Netflix. Yeah, like that then it would be nuts. Or Harry Potter. Like,
people would get the Netflix subscription just to watch those specific.
Well, because they're so famous. Yeah, it would be so much content for them. And I mean, like, if you're working for Netflix in Sarandos, then great, yeah. But like, there's not a lot of people, and there's a lot of people are going to get laid off. This is what happens with mergers. A lot of people will get laid off during mergers. I mean, there's about to be like a few thousand more in Paramount by this time next year, or no, by next month. A
few thousand more what?
Employees. They're going to get laid off. Because that's what happens during mergers. And so if Warner Bros., which is this huge multi-billion-dollar company, ends up getting bought by Netflix, that's going to be huge. And the bigger question, which I think is concerning a lot of people in the film industry, and I get it honestly, is the box office. How's it going to affect the box office? Because Netflix, they don't have they have some stake in the movie in movie theaters. But if everything just goes straight to streaming, then most people are just going to be incentivized to watch stuff on the computers. And theaters, like, they're a big deal, And they're big for the studios. Yeah,
struggling right now, even in competition with like movie streaming services as well, right? Yeah. And then everyone's just like, oh, it's out. I'll just wait until it goes on Netflix or it goes on like another streaming service.
Wouldn't you? I mean, like, with the exception of like an Oppenheimer or a Wicked, like for a movie that like you see a trailer for or an ad for, and you're like, yeah, it looks good, but like, I don't have time. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I have to rally a bunch of my friends to do it. So like, eventually you just watch it on Netflix or streaming, and it just like enters that
And start
abyss
killing the movie
of
theaters.
content. So yeah, but
Yeah.
that's been a pretty like at this point it's a pretty steady trend.
Yeah, but now it's
Yeah,
expediting it a lot more. I guess it's
that's
faster.
the argument.
If you think, I mean, like I mean, I just to play devil's advocate in a form, it's like, okay,
Okay.
what if like, because there are Netflix originals, there are like
Hmm.
the Netflix does make its own stuff, so
Stranger Things
yeah,
and
right.
K-pop Demon
So
Hunters, that stuff.
what
Yeah.
if they those are like series, those are TV series, but like, what if they just put their fingers into Netflix original movies? Like, what would that be a significant difference to? I mean, yeah, we're getting rid of movie theaters, but like why like I mean if you want to apart from the venue itself you're just gonna still get movies.
Yeah, it's no, it's a good question. I there's a couple of takeaways, I think. So my opinion is that if Netflix does this and this goes through, which again, there's an asterisk in there,
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is a way that is actually in the company's interest where they can utilize the box office, keep it afloat, and get profit from it
Mm-hmm.
while keeping the box office alive and then letting it go to on demand. And in fact, I'd take it a step further. I think that as things are now, because of how much consumer choice there is out there, I think in some ways what we have now is worse than what it could be if Netflix if this deal goes through. Because like think about it, like how many times do most people go to the movies for one thing? There's like you go for the
Yeah.
experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact is that like the traditional viewing methods, as much as I hate to say it, is declining.
Mm.
I mean, where movie theaters make their movie from now, like or not their movie, they make their money from now is food and concessions. That's part
Huh.
of why they're so overpriced because all that other stuff goes to the box office. So, but then like Netflix, for instance, they have a theater. They actually do have a theater that's owned. It's in Central Park South. It's like 57th and 5th or something like
What?
that.
Okay.
They own it, and that's where like they can show a lot of content. So like I saw this movie. I saw this movie called Jake Kelly. It's a George Clooney movie, and they are. I could have watched it on Netflix, and it was made through Netflix, but I saw it in a theater, and the concessions were like you could get it for like cheaper than Starbucks. I mean,
Wow.
like yeah, it's because like they
Because
can
they yeah yeah
because
yeah.
they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in addition to that, what's happening now with I mean, I know you don't watch Stranger Things, but like with Stranger Things is about to end, and no spoilers, obviously, but the way that they're releasing it is they have three. There's four more episodes left, and three of them are going to be released on Christmas Day, and the last one is not only going to be released on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, but it is going to be seen in movie theaters. They're going to
Mm.
offer in movie theaters. So my argument, and this is kind of where in my personal opinion, where I think the Directors Guild can come in, is that if they can find a way to convince Netflix or make a deal with Netflix to keep the box office open and maybe allow them to allocate their content so that it can basically operate as if it was what it was before, where you put something in the theaters, let it cook in the box office, all of that goes to Netflix, and then after a certain amount of time, it goes video on demand and goes to Netflix. I think that's a better chain strategy that I hope is negotiable. I could be wrong on that, but that's just my
I
personal
think looking
opinion.
at it from the Netflix one perspective is that the primary one to look at the ways. I mean, okay, a monopoly for the general, economy or general like group is bad, but
Yeah.
it's always good for the people who are
Oh yeah.
monopolizing
Yeah.
themselves, right?
Yeah. Just
So
capitalism, man.
I would
Yeah.
really see it. I mean, if you're looking at a Netflix perspective, the only way they would agree to this is if there's a way for them to kind of monopolize it and to like benefit themselves. And I think the big way to do it is like, okay, hey theaters, you want to do this? Sure, but you can only show Netflix movies, or you can only do like something like that, and that's when we slowly start to get it's
Yeah.
like faux, almost like Netflix owned box offices and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where we see that monopoly, but it's just like it's not a direct takeover, but it's just like they will start showing more Netflix movies directly, and then
Right.
eventually it's just gonna be like those are the default movies, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
gonna be Netflix owning everything, which is also kind of daunting to think about. I mean, that's gonna be.
It's definitely daunting to think about, and of course, like this is not a perfect thing. Like ideally, there would be far more antitrust laws put in place
Ideally.
that would allow this to be a lot more like equalizing. But we don't. That's not the world that we're living in here. While all of these movie studios and big conglomerates are capitulating to one another, I think it opens a door and makes that door bigger for independent content because as it becomes more monopolized, like me personally as a creative, I don't want to work for Netflix. I don't want to work for Warner Bros. Or any of these things because like as a creative, like I want to be able to have like my own like autonomy, and because of like digital platforms
Mm-hmm.
now and how the landscape is shifting through YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, like you don't need these things. The best way that I've put it before, I find this kind of funny, but like I think that as this evolves and as it becomes more capitalized, I think like the prestige factor of Netflix and what it will ultimately be from a creative standpoint. I don't think this is going to be now, but I think it's going to be later. But I think that what they'll like eventually become is basically like what Macy's is to us now,
Oh.
and that like you know what Macy's is, but
Mm-hmm.
have you ever been to Macy's any time recently?
Yeah.
You know them for
The Macy's parade.
Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving parade, and New Year's, and Fourth of July, and all those things. They're not what they were,
Mm.
and so I think it's going to be similar, and the landscape is just going to continue to evolve. And I think that as creatives, like, look, I don't like the move, but as creatives, like, what we do well is that we have tenacity and we find a way to make our voice happen. And I don't think we need a big voice like Netflix, as it clearly gets its ducks in a row, and you know even if it's to the disbenefit of other people, like we can find a way. They can't, but we can.
I think one thing to think about and reflect on as a creative yourself and as like an artist or a person who's even interested in art in the first place. I think these things that happen around us, it's so easy to kind of just be focused on like, okay, I'm doing my thing and I'm just gonna do my thing and it's just gonna be what it is for the rest of my life. But we have to keep in mind that there are things that are changing in our landscape around us. This merger, AI, all these other things that are moving and changing and happening, it in some way will affect us in one way or
Mm.
another, and it's something to keep in mind. Just like be in the back of your mind while you're living life, while you're making your art, while you're pursuing your interests and passions. I think it's something that we should pay attention to because I think I had this philosophy in my head where initially I was just like, okay, this all these things are happening. I'm gonna do my own thing, and it's gonna be me. But I think it's so important that we actually pay attention to what's going on around us, and also like talk about it, to talk about it to people, to spread the word. And I think we can make more educated choices with what we're doing with our lives, with our
I agree.
careers, and everything like
I
that.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's become just yeah. I got nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's our segment. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let us know. This is obviously an ongoing topic to discuss as the industry just keeps on changing. But until next time, I'm Ben Soffer.
And I'm Noelian.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.